Now, the government is hoping a change in German law will help to stop these small boat crossings to the United Kingdom. Well, gangs will no longer be able to store their small boats or engines in Germany before transporting them into France to cross the Channel. That's that then. The small boats crisis is all solved. Joining us now is GB News' Homeland Security Editor, Mark White. Mark, you can probably detect the cynicism in my tone here. The government clearly think differently.
Well, we have heard this, of course, from the government as far back as December last year. So more than a year ago, it was Yvette Cooper, the then Home Secretary, who announced that the German government was going to change the law to make it easier to be able to raid these lock-up garages, to look for these small boats that were being stored there prior to going to the northern coast of France. You can see one of the sort of assembly centres there where the boats are manufactured, packed up, they're shipped to Germany, or they're shipped to the coast of France as well. But for over a year, there's been nothing, no momentum in this policy at all until now. Finally, it seems the Germans have got their act together and have passed the legislation. So let's see what difference it makes. They've still got to know where these lockups are. If they don't know where the boats are being stored, then any law giving them access to raid these lockups doesn't make that much difference at the end of the day. And if we're honest as well, Martin, there were avenues open to the Germans within their legal systems to still go and raid these lockups, as they did from time to time, and they could still arrest people on sort of wider national or sort of international people smuggling charges, and also on immigration offences or money laundering or whatever else they happened to find when they raided these lockups. So it might make a difference. It's one of so many different little incremental changes that Sir Keir Starmer has brought into being. At the end of the day, all together combined, they don't appear to be doing anything to shift the dial. We're still seeing, every time the weather improves, them coming across. We saw it just 2 days ago when I was on the cliffs of Dover watching another 500 come across.
Every time you're online, your money and your identity are at risk. Scams now make up nearly 40% of all crime in the UK. That's thousands of attacks every single day. In Britain, someone has their identity stolen every 2 minutes, leaving victims with wrecked finances and years of stress. The threat is real, and you could be next. ExpressVPN is your shield against criminals. It locks down your devices, hiding your personal information and financial details from hackers, scammers, and anyone else looking to exploit you. So whether you're checking your bank, shopping, or just browsing, ExpressVPN makes you invisible to prying eyes trying to steal your money and your identity. ExpressVPN shields your data with military-grade AES 256 encryption. That's the same standard trusted by the US government to guard classified information. This is the highest level of online security you can get. So don't wait for disaster. Secure up to 14 devices at once and get powerful password protection. Real support is available 24/7 because cybercrime never sleeps. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN, plus 4 months extra for free. Every moment you hesitate is another moment you're exposed. Protect your money and protect your identity. Get ExpressVPN right now.
Mark White, as Blackadder might say, I can see a couple of tiny flaws in their plan. The first of all, Germany has its own immigration crisis. They can't control their own borders. It's driving the entire country towards political division, and the incumbent government could get a huge good hiding out of it. And secondly, as we always know, as you said repeatedly and expertly over the years, this is a game of international whack-a-mole. If they go charging into lockups in Germany, they'll just move them to Slovakia or any other country.
Yeah, let's be serious about this. There is no real imperative for the German government to go after, in a very proactive manner, these people smuggling gangs. They've got their own issues and priorities, as you said there, Martin, with illegal immigrants coming across into Germany from multiple surrounding countries. They're dealing with that. That is their priority. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't, from time to time, raid these lockups when they get intelligence, when they get perhaps a lead provided by the National Crime Agency here in the UK. As I say, this is one aspect. But remember, if we look at another aspect, such as the pushback policy in France, this is another issue that the British government, I think, announced prematurely before it was ever near fruition. Just as we've waited now a year for the German law to change, in France they've still not enacted that pushback policy, and now they're saying that they'll only do it if the boats are empty. Which to me just is incredible to think, because these boats come down the river with at least 2 to 3 dozen migrants on board anyway, and then they pick up the remainder offshore. So if that's the case, and you've got 2 or 3 dozen migrants on board, the French authorities are never going to push that boat back to the French shores, Martin.
You know, this asks a bigger question, one I think about often, Mark White, and it's this. Sir Keir Starmer has bet his house on the notion that we can only solve this problem with our international friends, with our cousins on the continent. We can't solve this alone. We need continental help. But is that really the case, Mark? All of these countries have their own imperiled governments. They can't even defend their own Christmas markets in Bavaria. They've cancelled New Year's Eve fireworks in France because of the threat of domestic terror. Donald Trump, he solved this problem by being a strong man, a nationalist, and just close the borders. Are they looking down the wrong end of the telescope, Mark White?
Well, I think you're right to say that if the government really wanted to, it could do that particular, some might describe it as a nuclear option, but yeah, they could close the borders. Anything that comes over into that sort of central reservation area, the sort of boundary between France and UK waters, they could turn the boats back, refuse the boat's entry into UK waters. It might lead to a very significant diplomatic spat with France and the EU. But of course, if the British government had the backbone, the determination to do that, they could. This government, I don't think, ever would. I'm not sure even if the Reform government would, because Nigel Farage and his team now talk about, declaring those coming across the channel illegal, holding them until they can then boot them out of the country if they can find places to take them. But what they used to talk about, of course, was pushing the boats back. We hear very little of that from Reform these days.
There could always be that proposed deal, of course, between Jordan Bardella if they were to get in France, and Nigel Farage, but that's so many chess moves ahead, and here we are again. Groundhog Day once again on the beaches. Mark White, I've got to say, it's a nice bonus to have you on the show today. An unexpected Christmas present for me, Mark White, and always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Merry Christmas to you, Martin.
Thank you very much, mate. Cheers, all the best.